All right, here we are. We are ready to start working on our individual routes and our individual DAOs. Let me share my screen so we can get into it. One thing I made a mistake on earlier was my common folder with my DAO common file. Previously, I had it sitting inside of my DAO's API folder. I don't want it in there. I want my common folder sitting next to my API folder. So you can simply uh, go into wherever your location is, where your common folder is sitting inside the API. Just click it and drag it up into DAOs, and they'll ask if you want to move it. You say yes. So that's the only thing that's need to change with the way I have it set up. So I think we're good to go right here. Again, we have a hero routes file now that is sitting inside of my API folder for routes, which is inside of routes. I have in my DAO is a little complex. I have an API folder and a common folder sitting inside of my DAOs folder, as well as a DAO.js file. In my common folder, I simply have a DAO common.js file. And in my API, I have a hero DAO.js. So let's start off with the DAO common. We'll start there, and then so we're going to start the DAO common. We're going to work our way back up to the routes. All right. So in the DAO common, this is going to be the location where our common DAOs will be held. DAO stands for Data Access Object. That's going to be your pop quiz. And this is how it is. It is an object that accesses the data. Where's the data? The data is in the database. So we want to get access to it. So we write these queries up, store them in an object uh, that will allow us to get the data. All right. So here we go. Let's do that. We're gonna start up here. I'm gonna say const con. I'm in DAO common.js. Const con is going to require. We need to get that DB config because we got to know which database we're connecting to and how we're configured, how we're connecting to it rather. So it's going to be // So I'm going out of my common folder. // Going out of DAOs. I need to go into config /db config. So if you have it structured this way, then you'll see that it's easy to connect to the particular location we're going to. All right, so here's const DAO common. That's what I'm going to name this object, and it is an object like so. And in this DAO common, we write our methods that we use for common queries. So I'm going to say find all. And that's the name of this first method. And it takes a response in the table as the argument. And here, I'm going to write up what I'm doing. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to use con.execute. I'm going to use this method on the MySQL. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to use that on the query. And we can see here that execute takes a string and a callback function as this argument. That string is going to be a query. Okay. The callback function, whatever it is we want it to do. And you can see here that that callback function will return as the argument takes an error or null, takes a result, and can also take fields if we want to, and we'll see what that looks like way later. Okay. Here we go. Con.execute. Here I'm going to write my SQL query. I'm going to use backticks because I'm going to pass in some stuff. I'm going to say select all from, I'm going to pass in table and put my semicolon there. And that's my SQL query. And now my callback function was going to take an error in rows as an argument. I always do that. And so here what I'm going to say is if there's no error, I want us to do something here. So here we're going to do stuff. And else, in which case if there is an error, we want to do something else. So what is it that we want to do? Well, obviously, if there is no error, meaning I've successfully connected to my database, then I want it to return the data. So in other words, I'm saying, hey, select all from table, writing a SQL query, and we know that it returns the data in tabular form. What do I mean? If I come back over here, let's go to my SQL server. Here we go. And let's say I'm doing species. If I said select all from species over here, I can open it up and there it returns my data as I see here. And it returns it in table form, just as we've written it inside of our database. Okay. So I want to return the data, but I don't want the data to be returned in tabular form. I need the data to be returned at JSON formatted. So how are we going to do that? Well, first thing I want to do right here, I'm going to say, hey, if there's no error, then if the rows.length is equal to 1, then I want you to response.json and spread out rows. Else response.json rows. What does this mean? What are we doing here? Well, again, if I don't have an error in my query, in my connection, then I need to look at the rows, okay? And the rows are simply each row here in my table when I make my query. And I'm saying, hey, if the length of rows is equal to 1, meaning that there's only one item in the table, then I need to spread out rows. Why is that important? Because rows is an array. Okay. And what I would need to do in order for me to have access to the data in a clean way is spread out rows, or in other words, remove the square brackets and just return the object that that rows is. In other words, just the names of the fields and the values, or i.e. the properties and the values. So just return the object out without the square brackets. That's if the length of rows is equal to 1. However, if rows is greater than 1, then, or Lord, if rows is not 1, then return the array that rows is, and that will enable us to use, JavaScript, basic JavaScript that we know in order to access the data. Okay. So that's what we want to do if there's no error. However, if there is an error, what do we want to do? Simply what we're going to do, we're just going to console.log, and I'm going to say DAO error, and I'm going to return the error. So an error message will pop up. Let's say that we are trying to connect to the table and the field's name is misspelled, or the table name is misspelled rather, or there's something else wrong with the query. Maybe that particular field doesn't exist. Maybe there's a problem with the way we joined it. Anything. The error will pop up, and then in which case we'll read the error. So we want something to come back to us, letting us know, hey, it didn't work if there's some kind of error. So anyway, there's find all. Let's add another method inside of our down comment. I'm going to do find by ID. This is going to take a response. It's going to take a table, and it's going to take an ID as an argument. And we're going to write our query. Oh, not you. Say con.execute. And here I'm going to say select all from whichever table we're in. Oh, I always do that. Select all from table, and then I'll say where table ID is equal to, I put a question mark right here. And what am I doing? Oh no, you're getting too bizarre right here. Satch. Yeah, I know. We're gonna see what's up with this. All right, so select all from table where table ID is equal to something. Okay. And now I have a comma right here. And what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to pass in this array, and it's just going to be ID. Okay. And then same thing as above, take the error in the rows. Look what I'm doing over here now. Take the error in rows. I'm going to say, hey, if there's no error, then we're going to say if rows.length is equal to 1. Same thing. We're going to response.json. Spread out rows. Else response.json rows. And then right here, else console.log DAO error. Error. So what's happening here? What I just do? So when I'm using the con.execute method, it's a little different than con.query. Con.query will take simply a string for the query, and it will take a callback function. What do you want us to do? So here's my SQL query, then what do you want me to do? Well, con.execute, and I did say we'll talk about way later, but it's not way later. It's actually now later. Con.execute is an enhanced method on the for the MySQL 2 library. So what it does, it makes our queries a little more dynamic. Okay. Here, I'm saying, hey, select all from table where table ID is equal to question mark. So that question mark that we see right here, this is like a placeholder. Okay. And the values or the content that we will substitute in the placeholder goes inside of the square bracket. That fields that you see here, let's see, yeah, there we go in the description. that fields or field packet, if you will, that's simply an array of information, and it gets stored in there. And what that's going to allow us to do, and we're not going to see it now, but we'll see it later when we start working on updating data in the database. My eyes are itchy. It will parse through the array, if you will, and insert data in the wherever there's placeholders. So that's why it looks like this here. So we could have just easily passed in ID. That'll work just fine. But again, set up for something else that we can do later on. It's going to help us out, be much more efficient for us. So, anyways, this is our query. And notice, like with our tables inside of our database, when we were building out this table, I wanted to build it out a certain way, particularly when it comes to the IDs, because I know that I wanted to make our queries uniform so that we can just write one query like we're doing right here that could be applicable for most, if not all, tables. And that's what we have here. So select all from table where table ID is equal to question mark. Pass in the ID. There we go. Aaron rows. We're good to go. That one looks good. Let's add one more query or one more method inside of our DAO common. This one is going to be called count all. Takes a response and the table as an argument. I'm going to say con.execute, and we'll use con.execute from here on out. So we're going to select count. We're going to run that count function. So we're going to count all. That's what the star is for. And we'll name it count from and pass in the table. Don't forget your semicolon, comma. Did I forget my semicolon up here? I did not. Good. Let me have to double check. And then we, same thing, error in rows. I'm saying if there's no error, if rows.length to 1, make sure I did 3. Yeah, let me do strictly equal just to keep it G. All right, so if rows.length is equal to 1, then response.json spread out rows, else response.json rows, and right here else console.log DAO error and return error. So this is going to be the 3 methods that we'll have in DAO common. Obviously, we could add more if we wanted to. Again, if we were writing more generic queries, we could do that. So here we got find all, find by ID, count all. And the last thing that we need to do inside of DAO Commons, we need to export it. So let's module.exports DAO Common. So now we've exported, we'll be able to use that wherever we want to. We should be good with DAO Common. I'm going to close it up because I don't think I'm going to need this at all anymore. And now what I want to do is I want to work on my hero DAO. And we'll start off with a basic query on this one, and then we'll be able to add more stuff in there. Okay. So yeah, let's start over here, hero DAO. And in the hero DAO, what are we going to do? Let's start off by, there it is again. So I got what, leave this folder, come back here. Wait, go to this file, come over here. There we go. Const con gets require. Got to navigate over there to the db config. I'm going to say const hero DAO is going to get here. I'm going to pass in the first I need to say that what table I'm in. This is my hero table. I like to do it this way because again, this is an object. So I'm specifying which table I am. I'm the hero table. All right, and so we're gonna write some queries up. So we're not going to use our find all to find all to get all the data from the hero table, because right now as it stands, the hero table, let's look at it. No, not you. Here it is right here. So if I say describe hero, we see I have a hero ID, hero name, first name, last name, alias, franchise ID, species ID. These are two things in particular I wanted to look at. Here it is displaying the franchise ID and the species ID. Well, I don't necessarily want that. I want the franchise and the species to be displayed as well. So I will need to do some joins. So this query will need to be a little more complex than the find all. So we're going to write our own special query for this in the hero DAO. I'm going to name this method find heroes. This is going to take the response and the table as an argument. Con.execute. And here we're going to write out our query. So I want to get all of that data. However, with the franchise and species, I don't want it to list species ID and franchise ID. I want the actual name of the franchise and species. So I'm going to say select h.hero_ID, h.hero name, just getting all those fields from the table here. h.last_name, h.alias, f.franchise, s.species. I also want the place of origin, so h.place of origin, h.first appearance. When did that hero first appear? h.alignment, and h.image-url. So this is all the information we're getting. Let me do this. That should work. And then I'm going to say from where? From the hero table that I've called H. And then I'm going to join franchise F using franchise_ID. Join species S using species_ID. And I want to make sure they're in a particular order. I'm going to say order by h.hero_ID. add my semicolon. So that's my query there. And then my function, same as the other ones. Going to take my error in rows. Say if there is no error, if rows.length is equal to 1, response.json spread out rows, else response.json rows. And then here I'm going to say else console.log. I'm going to say hero DAO error. And then passing the error. So I got this one up. I'm going to do a simple test to make sure that this is working before I move any further. Okay. So now, once I have this query working with this method, then I'm going to be, well, I should be able to connect all the other ones. I want to make sure this one's working first. And if I want to, here for table, like instead of using this h.hero name, etc., what I could do right here, I can just pass in table like so. I could do that wherever I see the H. So let me go ahead and get all those. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. And then I could just remove that and I can say from table. And this should work just fine, just as fine. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Oh, let me change this right here. All right. So now that I've got this method together, I need to export it. So I'm going to module.exports HeroDAO. Okay. So it's been exported. That means I can import it somewhere. And once I've imported somewhere, I can then use it. Where am I going to import it? Here's what I'm going to do. I've made a file called dao.js. This is going to be the location for all of my DAOs. So here, dao.js is where I am right now. I just made it. If you haven't wrote that file yet, do it now. It's going to sit inside of your DAOs folder. It's not going to be inside of API or common. It's sitting right here inside of your DAOs folder. So here's what we're going to do. Again, this dao.js file is where all the cool DAOs hang out. They're all going to meet up over here. So first thing I'm going to do inside DAO is I'm going to get access to the DAO common. So I'm going to say const DAO common is going to get require. I'm going to go /. So I need to go into my common folder and get that DAO common file. So now I have it. I can hover over DAO common and look what it displays. It displays all the different methods that we've written: the find all, find by ID, and count all. So good, we got access to it. If it's not doing that, check and make sure that you've imported it properly. Make sure that your file's in the correct location. You should be able to hover over the the constant that we just created, and you should have listed the actual object that we just built. All right. So now I got that. Oops, come over here. And I'm going to say const hero DAO is going to get a particular object. What we're going to do, we're going to spread out the DAO common. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spread out, watch this, require ./API/hero DAO. So we spread out the DAO comment and we spread out the hero DAO that we just created. We've imported it here and we spread it out. Now, when I hover over hero DAO, look what I have here. Inside of hero DAO, I have access to find heroes along with the methods that we wrote for DAO common. And then the last thing I need to do in here for right now is I'm going to say module.exports, and I'm going to export this object and I'm going to pass in hero DAO. So we're just going to export this object, which is hero DAO. And that's it for that. Okay, now we've got that. And we're going to come back to the DAO, but everything is going to look like this when we get to the, as we continue to work through this. So now that's done. Now let's go to hero routes. And inside of hero routes, let's start up here. This thing is going to bother me. So here I'm going to say const express. It's going to get require express. And then I'm going to say const router. It's going to get that router object from express. And module.exports router. Because so we're going to go ahead and export it out. We haven't imported it anywhere yet, but we shall. All right, so the path that we have to our hero routes is going to be localhost 3000/API/hero. Let's keep that in mind. So what we're going to do, we're going to say let's get our first route. This is the one we're using right now. The find all or find heroes. So here we need, this is localhost 3000/API/hero. In other words, when I click on this particular link, okay, what's going to happen? Right now, if I click on it, I get this message that says, can I get /API/hero? Because we haven't told it what to do yet. All right. So now let's tell it what to do. I'm going to say router.get. It's going to be a slash right here. I believe it's router.get. Let me check my notes real quick and make sure it's not router.use. Yep, router.get. I was correct. All right, cool. So router.get, and it takes a request and a response. And what we simply want to do is we're going to run, oh, we need to get something first before we do that. We need to get access to the DAO. Okay, so I'm going to say const DAO is going to get require. Let's see. No, I don't want to do it this way. Yeah, I want to change this up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to destructure DAO. So I'm going to say const DAO is going to get this restructured version of DAO, because what I want from it is I want to get the hero DAO from DAO. What do I mean? Because when we exported DAO.js, we're exporting an object, but this object is going to contain, right now it just contains the hero DAO. But what's going to happen is going to contain several different DAOs, again, because that's where all the cool DAOs are going to meet up. So we need to get the right one, because we don't want them all. We just want the DAO that we're using, that we need for this. So here, what I need to do is change this. I'm going to destructure. I'm going to destructure hero DAO, put a colon DAO right here, like so, and that is going to get require slash DAOs and then slash DAO. So in other words, what we're doing is we're taking the hero DAO, we're taking that object from DAO. We're taking this particular object, hero DAO. We're going to name it DAO, and that's what this means right here. From that exported DAO file. That's what this confusing line means right here. We're taking the hero DAO object back from over here, because here we exported this object, but inside this object, we have this object called hero DAO. Right? There's an object that is inside of an object. As this has been exported, it has been exported rather. We're importing it here, but we don't want that entire object, because it's going to contain franchise DAO, it's going to contain team DAO, species, power, etc. We just want the hero DAO from it. Okay. So now that we've done that, now we can come back here inside of our first method, and I'm going to say router.get, and this will be take request response, and I am going to pass in DAO. I want find heroes. There it is right there. It's going to take the response, and it's going to take DAO.table. And so DAO.table, what is this right here? Well, if we go back over here to hero DAO, that's this here. We're getting this table property from here. And again, that's been exported over here to DAO.js. So I hover over hero DAO, and you can see there's table, there's that property, which is a string. So that's being exported, that's being sent here. I come over here, look at hero routes again. I hover over hero DAO. There we see table. So it knows what it's referring to. So DAO.table is whatever we set table to be inside of the hero DAO. Now this should work. We've got localhost 3000 /API/hero. Last thing we need to do, we're going to come over here to router. Excuse me. And I'm going to make this array here. I'm going to say const endpoints. And inside of it right now, the first endpoint I'm going to use is hero. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write this this line up. I'm going to do a for each loop through endpoints and create my individual pathing to the routes. So I'm going to say endpoints dot for each endpoint, I'm going to say router.use, and I'm going to say it's going to be backticks. I'm going to say slash API slash endpoint. That's my path, and it is going to the path is going to get require dot slash, going to my API folder, and then slash. Oh, this doesn't need to be a quote. That needs to be backticks instead. My apologies. Let me fix this up. Yeah, two right there. So this is going to be require dot slash API slash, and then in here, I'm gonna pass in endpoint. So this line of code, so we're going to make I'm going to take each one of these endpoints here, make an array, pass them in here like so, and then we'll use router.use to say, hey, whenever I click on slash endpoint, it's going to require this particular file. So now we should work. If you have all that, you should be able to come back over here. Let's refresh this. Oh, what do we got here? We got something's afoot. Am I starting it? Oh yeah, can I find API slash hero? We should be able to now. Oh, no, yeah, that's right. It's not endpoint, it's routes. I gotta add that because I did name it hero routes. So it's endpoint routes, like so. Yeah, now my port's back running. Come back over here, refresh localhost 3000 slash API, click on hero. Woo! There goes my data. Just the way we wanted it served up. So there's a lot going on there. Take yourself a break if you need to. Go back and pause video certain points. See if you misspelled something. Check your errors if you have any. Check your errors. See if you have any. If you do, read through those errors. Try to find out where the error was made. Go back and look at the video. Pause it in certain places. Check the spelling to make sure that everything's spelled correctly. Make sure that everything's connected. All your folders and files are in the correct place. Because this is how it works. Okay. So it's a good check. That's a great checkpoint right there to make sure that's working. Because if this one is working, that means I can get other ones working. All right. So let's come back over here to our hero DAO. And we're going to write another query. This one, we want to find the heroes by ID. Okay. So this with this one, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little something to it. And we tried this out on the first version of this API that we did, where right now, currently, if I look at my heroes, I don't have a list of their powers, nor do I have a list of their rivals, right? And I want to display that as well because we have access to that in our database. We have, the superpowers for each one, and there's multiple powers, which means it's going to be inside of an array. Also, we have listed their rivals, okay? And that is also, the rivals are actually pulling from the same table. So we're going to have to write a query where we're calling a query on the same table twice. That's going to be something different. And the real wild thing is we're going to have to connect to the database a couple of times in order for us to get this to work properly. Now, this may be put together with, like, paper clips and strings or what have you, but it works. And we tested out and we saw that it works. So, I mean, if you are watching this video and you find a better way to do this, a better way, please, by all means, drop it in the comments, share, because, we're all learning how to do this. So anyways, we're going to find hero by ID. This is in my hero DAO. Takes a response, takes a table, and it takes an ID as an argument. Oh, I need to put my comma right there to separate my objects, or my properties rather. All right, so find hero by ID. Here we go. What I did first was I said let powers get an empty array, and I did the same thing for rivals. Said let rivals get an empty array. This in. All right. Now I'm going to write my query. I'm going to say con.execute. And this first query is going to get the powers for each hero. Okay. So I'm going to say select table dot hero underscore ID p dot power from table. I'm going to join, not joint, that was yesterday, 420. Ha ha ha, not me. Hero to power, call it HP, on table hero underscore ID is equal to HP dot power underscore ID. And then join power P on P dot power underscore ID is equal to HP dot power underscore ID, where table dot hero underscore ID, or I could just say table dot table ID if I wanted to, is equal to ID, like so. So this query right here is just going to take the heroes, or take the hero ID and match it up to whichever power that hero has. Okay. Put a comma right here. And then we said if there's no error, no, I'm sorry. Callback function first when you say take the error in the rows. Here we go. Now we're saying if there's no error, and this is where it gets wonky. If there's no error, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take object dot values for rows, and for each object we're going to say powers dot push object dot power. In other words, what's going to happen is it's going to return the rows, right? If there's no error, we're going to look at each row. So let's say, for example, we have Spider-Man. I'm not going to be mean to Batman today. Not yet. we'll take Spider-Man, and Spider-Man has certain powers. We said he has a strength, he has agility, he's a what we call a looper, and a couple other powers, right? His Spidey sense. So each one of those powers is going to be listed as an array. Well, I'm sorry, each one of those powers is going to be its own individual row. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take each, we're going to say object.values, take the rows, which we know is an array of objects. And for each object, or in other words, each row, if you will, we're going to push the value, which is object.power, speed, agility, looper. We're going to push that into the powers array. So now this powers that we have is stored inside of an array, which we'll be able to add to our final object, if you will. All right. So now we've done that. And then right after that, we're going to do the same thing for our rivals. Okay. So we're still inside of this block right here. So I'm going to say con.execute and kind of the same thing. I'm going to shorten this one up. I'm going to say select h1.hero underscore name because this one's a little complex. I'm going to list that as hero. h2.hero underscore name. Hero underscore name. List that as rival. And now I'm thinking about this. We could, if we want to add the first name and last name for them as well, because let's say Superman, one of his rivals is Lex Luthor, right? Lex Luthor does not have a hero name. He just goes by Lex Luthor. Okay. So let's add that. So I'm going to say h1.hero name. I'm going to say h1.first underscore name. h1.last underscore name. Okay. And then h2 hero name rival. h2.first underscore name. I'll say rival first. h2 dot I think we'll be okay. Last name, and this will be yeah, let me work this out first. Rival last, because I think what I want to do now, I did say we want to do something different. I'm going to push myself. Because yeah, that gave me a thought. What I think I'd rather do is I think what I'd rather do is say, hey, let's do a case here and say, hey, if the hero doesn't have, or the rival doesn't have a hero name, then we'll use the first and last name. I think I'd rather do that. So I'm going to say so case hero name hero. Well, select h1.hero name I mean, I could really do the same thing for this as well, but I'm not. I'm going to say case when h2 dot hero underscore name is null, then let's see, how do I want to do this? I think what I want to do is, I believe we can concat. I believe what we can do here is we can concat the first and last name of the rival. Matter of fact, I'm going to backtrack. Let me just do it the way that I know how to do it for right now, and then I can go back and change it. And get too ahead of myself. So h1 dot hero name is hero. h2 dot hero name, set that to be rival. From hero to rival HR. Join hero h1 on h1.hero underscore ID is equal to hr.hero underscore ID. Join hero h2 on h2.hero underscore ID is equal to hr.rival underscore ID, where h1.hero underscore ID, because we got a lot more to do, is equal to pass an ID. There you go. There's my query. Like, we can enhance this query if we need to, and I think we will or want to. All right, there we go. And then again, take the error in rows. All right. And I'm saying if there's no error, I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to say object dot values rows and dot for each object rivals dot push object dot rival. And then again, still inside that block, that if else, we're going to say here we're going to write our query on all of them. So I'm going to say con.execute. I'm going to wrap this video up in a little bit once we get done with this. Con.execute select h.hero underscore ID, h.hero name. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do, instead of me typing all this stuff out, I'm essentially getting everything from my heroes table, this query here. So I'm going to just copy this whole query, and I'm going to add it right here. Let me fix this up. Oops. Nope. clean it up some. Let me do this. Yeah, that'll help me out a lot. Make sure this is clean. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whew. And I just need to add one last thing here, because I don't need to order by. But what I do want to say is where. Let me expand this again. Oh, too large. Where I could say table dot hero underscore ID is equal to, and I can put my question mark right there. Pass in ID again as my field, and then I can say, hey, if there's no error, well, take the error in the rows, and I'm going to say rows dot for each. Take each row, and we're going to say row dot powers is going to get power. So now we're passing in those arrays that we've created as properties. Row dot rivals is going to get rivals. Okay. So we're going to do that. And then after that, we're going to say, hey, now if there's no error here, and if rows.length is equal to 1, we want a response.json, spread out the rows. Else response.json, the rows. Okay. And then so now right here, now I'm going to say else, meaning that there is an error there. Console.log DAO error. And I'll say table. No. I'm going to say DAO error. Let's do it like this. Backtick. DAO error. And then I'll say table. So let me know which table it is, and then return the error. And that will take care of that one. All right, and then parentheses. So this should be, yeah, that's the end of that one. So here, let's say that's in that con.execute. So now I want to say right here, if there's no error, else console.log. I'll just console the error right there. And that should be it. So that's kind of weird, okay? But as I stated, when we worked it out before, it worked just fine. So there's my query to find all by ID. Okay. And so now what I need to do is come over here to hero routes because it's added to our DAO. So when I come over here, hero DAO, there you see find by ID. Okay, so it's there. So if I come over here to hero routes, and this should be the last thing I do. If I want to find by ID, this is like going to be localhost colon 3000 slash API slash hero and then slash the ID. I'm going to say router.get. It's going to be slash colon ID. I know, right? Takes a request. That's my son. Takes a request and response. And then I'm going to say DAO.find hero by ID because that's the one that I want to use. Takes response, DAO.table, and then request.params.id as my argument. Takes those three. So I should be able to come over here. Let me refresh this baby. And if I /2, oh, we got an error message. What do we do? Can I read properties undefined for rows.e? So hero DAO line 68. Hero DAO line 68. So take the error in rows as an argument. Let's see. That would happen right there. So let's see. If there's no error, then do that. And then do this. Let me see. Let me read this. Can I read properties undefined rows dot for each row? So line 68 is said. Hachi machi. Let's see. Let me. What did I miss? Oh no. Let me remove that. I don't think that's going to have anything to do with it, but let's see. Refresh. Still get the same error message. For each, let's see. Get all the way here. So select hero ID. Let me just do this. Let me just make all these. Oh, that's why right there. That messed up right there. There's no dot. But I'm going to be on the safe side. And I see what the issue was. Get out of the way. All right. Should be back up and running. Yep. And refresh. And I'm still getting an error. And it's still saying for each is not defined. Oh, let me pass that in right there. Yeah. There we go. Refresh. There we go. Aha. Oh, got an issue right there. Okay, because Spider-Man's powers are not armory. And so let's see that. So that's the issue here. Where hero ID. Join hero to power HP on because I know I'm replacing wherever I have passed in like table, passing in H just to make this simple for me. And then okay, so that's ID. Oh, that's not yeah, where hero ID is equal to ID. Yeah, that's correct. So select hero ID p.power from hero H. Join hero to power on hero ID is equal to HP.hero ID. Yeah, there we go. That's where I was wrong. And then join power P on power ID is equal to power ID. There we go. Now let me refresh this. And there goes Spider-Man's powers. Ha! It's fixed. Okay. So, yes. Oh, this is Miles Morales. Let's say his first appearance, not 2011. So what you need to do is, because I'm going to end this one right here. We're going to come back. But need you to go through this, pause it where you need to. Look at what I've done. I can clean this up. Definitely want to do some more to this hero, well, with the rival, because I want to be able to list the rival's full name if they don't have an actual hero name. That's something I want to add to this. We're going to add some other stuff to this. So anyways, I'm going to stop the video right here because this one was extremely long and we're going to take a break. I need a mental break and then we'll come back and work on this some more later. All right.